At what point will Coach Clark start talking defense to her squad?
Never. Come on, Rebecca. You know better than that. Offense is what's going to get us back in it. We just got to make a lot of 4-point shots.
What happens when the biggest name in basketball is forced to sit but refuses to stay silent? When the WNBA's brightest star rips the spotlight back without scoring a single point. That is Caitlin Clark, and the viral clips have fans asking if Indiana even needs a coach when she is on the sideline.
Wait, what's your official title?
Coach Clark, that's all I got.
Coach Clark.
Yeah,
Would you like us to refer to you as Coach Clark right now?
Oh, please. Yeah.
This is not a player nursing an injury. This is a 23-year-old phenom running huddles, calling timeouts, and stealing the role of head coach in full view of cameras. Indiana thought they lost their season, but instead, Clark turned a meaningless game into a national story. The question now, is this just the beginning of something new for Indiana Fever? We're about to find out.
For the first round of the playoffs, still undetermined who they will face as that 8 seed. Smith and Boston jump it up, and this game is underway. Only 8 teams have ever done that. 7 of them went on to win the title. As Boston gets free and lays it in.
The Fever's matchup against the Minnesota Lynx should have been a routine late-season game. The Fever had already clinched their playoff berth, and the Lynx were locked into the top seed. There was little at stake in the standings, but the game still carried a charge because of who was sitting courtside in warm-ups. Caitlin Clark, sidelined for weeks by injury, was not quiet or withdrawn. She was standing, pacing, and pointing like she had never left the floor.
Here comes Sims. Pedaling into the paint, leaning and hitting. A 10-0 run to start this game for Indiana. And Minnesota wants a timeout. Caitlin Clark knows it.
The Fever opened the game with a blistering 10-0 run, fueled by Odyssey Sims knocking down a mid-range jumper that had the Lynx scrambling. Everyone in the building knew Minnesota needed a timeout to reset. Before the whistle blew, ESPN cameras caught Clark jumping from her seat, waving her arms like a coach demanding a stoppage. A split second later, head coach Stephanie White called the timeout, confirming what Clark had already seen. The clip went viral instantly. Fans wrote that Clark looked more like the head coach than a sidelined guard. During breaks, she huddled teammates, drew on the whiteboard, and gave speeches with playoff urgency. When the Lynx pushed back in the third quarter, Clark was on her feet pointing to rotations and barking encouragement. For Fever fans, this was no surprise. Clark has always played with a raw edge, and now that same fire is spilling into an unofficial coaching role. It is why the narrative of her as acting head coach is spreading. The crowd is watching her not just as a star player, but as a presence that transforms the team even from the bench. As loud and fiery as Clark was on the bench, her quietest moment hit the hardest. Hours before that game against the Lynx, she uploaded a black and white photo to Instagram, showing herself mid-celebration, arms raised after burying one of her trademark deep threes. The caption was only 5 words: "I miss this so bad." That single line struck a chord across the basketball world. It was not a marketing pitch or polished press release, just a raw confession. A player who had taken over arenas and shattered records admitted that being away from the game was tearing her apart. Fans flooded the comments with messages of support. Fellow athletes reshared the post, knowing exactly how much the absence stung. It reminded everyone she is not just a rising superstar, she is still a 23-year-old who loves to compete. The frustration is easy to understand when you map out the injury timeline. Clark's season was doomed almost from the start. Before preseason, she felt tightness in her quad and missed the Fever's opener in May. She returned only to strain the same quad 4 games into the regular season, which cost her nearly 2 weeks.
Basketball of the Boston hands it off as Clark's back in. She goes down at midcourt and flexing that ankle.
Oh, Lee, this late in the game, you do not want to see.
Once she came back, her rhythm barely had time to settle before she sprained her left groin, keeping her out of 5 more games. On July 9th, she finally returned against the Golden State Valkyries, giving fans hope that the worst was behind her.
We're looking at that ankle roll one more time right there. But you're right, Angel. I mean, I had mentioned at the top of the show that she is having one of the best rookie seasons in WNBA history. the 19 assists in the game, the triple-double as a rookie, leading the league in assists, and she's only continued to get better as she has adjusted to the WNBA.
Less than a week later, disaster struck again. Another groin injury on July 15th ended her season for good.
On Natasha Howard as she was trying to deny the pass, and there we have Ice, Sophie Cunningham, and Caitlin Clark that might be acting as assistant coaches tonight.
This stretch of stop and start appearances left her with only 13 games played all year. For someone projected to be the face of the WNBA, it was a nightmare run. The Fever organization knows how damaging the absence has been, not just to their on-court production, but to the energy of their brand. Indiana had sold out games and shattered viewership records when Clark was on the floor. When she went down, the buzz risked fading. Her decision to stay visible and active, calling timeouts and drawing up plays, has kept that buzz alive. What could have been a lost season has turned into a new storyline, and the moment she was ruled out for the season, the conversation shifted. Instead of highlights, analysts dissected her leadership, her presence, and whether the Fever could still thrive without her. The takes came from every corner of the basketball world. Even in street clothes, she is still the story.
She is the first rookie in WNBA history with 10 assists and 5 three-pointers in a game. She's getting that Diana and Steph Curry treatment out there running off of screens. I'll show you exactly what I mean about this. So watch this, she has the ball, but first and foremost, she's great at passing. Look, she sees the play even though she's ahead of it. All eyes are attracted to her as a rookie. She finds Aaliyah Boston for an easy look. Again, she can assist, but look, they're double screens here. Katie Lou is a freaking shooter, and she's still just turning around to give her a shot. That's 33 feet.
On ESPN, Chini Ogwumike praised her as the architect of Indiana's pace and space offense. She described how Clark's passing stretches defenses, opening lanes for Aaliyah Boston and freeing shooters like Kelsey Mitchell. Her vision makes the Fever look like a championship-caliber roster when healthy. Then there was Stephen A. Smith, who turned the debate into headline fodder. In one fiery segment, he claimed the league's treatment of Clark had become so lopsided that the government might have a case. The line was pure Stephen A. theater, but it underscored a truth. Every foul, every missed whistle, every shove becomes a national debate. That spotlight is not going away, and it forces Clark to live under a microscope few athletes endure. From the players' side, the voices carried even more weight. Sue Bird added that Clark's skills will translate perfectly once the injuries clear, highlighting her passing, her range, and her ability to dictate tempo as the foundation for a future face of the league. The grind is real, but so is her drive. The veterans know she will have to take hits, both physical and verbal, but they also recognize she has the tools to not only survive, but eventually dominate. All of this debate, whether Ogwumike's optimism, Stephen A. Theater's tough love, or Sue Bird's respect, adds up to one truth.
First time for a rookie to get a triple-double in franchise history.
Clark is not being measured as a second-year player anymore. She is being measured as the standard-bearer of the league, a role that usually takes years to earn. For better or worse, she already carries that weight. If there was any doubt about who sets the tone for the Fever, it disappeared the moment Clark was sidelined. Inside the Indiana locker room, players and coaches admitted her presence still drives the group.
Worry, because I mean, you look at Caitlin and you look at the way she passes the ball, and so sometimes things are gonna happen that way, and that's okay because we're not gonna let her hang her head. We're not gonna hang our head off of any missed passes because we're still continuing to gel together, and we know that she's a great passer. So if she thinks she can get that ball there, she's gonna throw it, and if I miss it, then we're good. We're all right. Don't worry. We're good. Don't worry.
Thanks, AB.
Aaliyah Boston, the cornerstone in the paint, has been vocal about how much easier her job becomes when Clark is involved, even from the bench. She said Clark's vision and energy lift the team, that her voice in huddles has been as valuable as her passes in live play.
Who she is. She's a connector. She brings people together. And, I think for us to be a part of that, and whether it's, as simple as being able to celebrate all of these things with her, or, as much as walking out into the arena and seeing the whiteout on the
Head coach Stephanie White has echoed that sentiment. After the Fever clinched their playoff spot, White called Clark's season bad luck, but quickly pivoted to praise her leadership. She explained Clark has been doing film work, helping the guards with reads, and acting as a second coach during games. Clark has not checked out for 1 second. She has stayed engaged in a way most injured players simply cannot. Teammates see it too.
Here's McDonald. Howard gives it up. Mitchell, a three. It is good. Second three of the quarter for Kelsey Mitchell.
And again,
During the Lynx game, cameras caught Clark crouched at midcourt, pointing at rotations and clapping until her hands turned red. When Kelsey Mitchell buried a corner three, Clark leapt higher than anyone on the bench. When Aaliyah Boston forced a turnover, Clark nearly sprinted onto the court screaming, "That is how you do it. That is not the behavior of someone sulking. That is the behavior of someone whose competitive fire cannot be switched off." The Fever locker room has embraced it. They are a young roster still finding their way, but Clark's refusal to shrink has set a standard. When the playoff bracket is announced, Indiana will walk in with more belief than their record suggests. And much of that belief traces back to the energy Clark has poured into them, even when she cannot play. When the final buzzer sounded, the Fever had pulled off a statement win. But the real headline came minutes later at the press conference. Clark walked in with her hair damp from sweat, her warm-up still clinging to her frame, and the room leaned forward. A reporter asked if she was about to apply for the head coaching job, and she laughed, but her eyes betrayed the truth. "Tonight wasn't about me pretending to be a coach," she said into the microphone. "It was about reminding us what we are capable of. Missing the playoffs hurts, more than I can even put into words. I came here to win every game, every possession, and I hate that I can't be out there when it matters most." Her voice wavered, and for the first time, the bravado peeled back. This was not Caitlin Clark, the highlight reel. This was Caitlin Clark, the competitor, letting everyone see the sting of being sidelined. Then, with a half smile, she delivered the punchline. "But hey, my coaching record is officially undefeated, so maybe I've got a backup plan." The room chuckled, but the message was clear. Clark's presence, her honesty, and her leadership had turned a lost season into a different kind of legacy. She did not disappear. She doubled down. So here is the takeaway. While other stars have stumbled under the spotlight, Caitlin Clark has turned the harshest season of her career into proof that she is more than a scorer. She is a leader, a motivator, and even when she is injured, the Indiana Fever feel her fingerprints on every possession. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you see Caitlin Clark as the next great face of the league, or has she already earned that crown? Smash that like button, subscribe for more, and stay tuned, because this story is only getting bigger from here. Thanks for watching.